Romans 12:2 talks all about how you can be transformed by renewing your mind, right? Well, I'm going to blow your mind by helping you understand how there's this concept in neuroscience that makes this wise word of wisdom, this ancient word of wisdom, something that we like lean our faith into, actually make complete and total sense. It's neuroscience, and the concept is neuroplasticity. And I know you might be thinking that faith and science might not mix, and I hear you, but hear me. All right, even though we might think that they don't go together, in this point, they're not even in competition, right? One is actually encouraging or like leaning into the other. They both kind of are going hand in hand. Your brain was designed by God to be renewed, transformed, and reborn. So I'm going to show you. Let's go ahead and dive in. Neuroplasticity is basically your brain's ability to come up with new neural pathways. And these new neural pathways allow you to be able to change your behavior, change your thinking process, really just change the way you show up. Your brain goes on to create these new neural pathways. Every time you travel them, every time you walk down it, it gets more and more convenient. So every time you do this new behavior, it gets more and more familiar with your brain, and that's where it goes instead. And those old patterns, those old behaviors, the less you lose them, the quicker you lose them. The less you use them, the quicker you lose them. Being intentional about trying to create these new neural pathways and leaning into that habit will eventually make it to where that's not a place that you travel anymore. Eventually, when you stop using these words, these roadways or these pathways, they like literally start to fade away. Isn't that wild? God is awesome, y'all. So y'all, this is where it gets very exciting, because let's look at Romans 12:2. Let's read that piece. Ready? Do not be conformed to this age, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is the good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. Transform, renewing, y'all. 2,000 years ago, first, like some kind of way, Paul was able to understand and articulate the concept of neuroplasticity. 2,000 years ago. What? That's not enough. Let's look at Philippians 4:8. Ready? Let's read. So Philippians 4:8 says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any moral excellence, if there is anything praiseworthy, dwell on these things. Do what you have learned and received and heard from me and seen in me, and the God of peace will be with you. What? Now remember what I said, the actions, the words, these things, they help to transform your mind. Paul is basically giving us the step-by-step process of what it takes to reset and rewire our brains. Step-by-step process. Huh? Like, come on. If you need further instructions, right, when things start to pop up, let's go over to 2 Corinthians 10:5. Right here. Y'all, this is crazy. Right here, 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, and every proud thing that is raised up against the knowledge of God, right? Every proud thing that is raised up against the knowledge of God, we take every thought captive to obey Christ. Within our mental health space, oftentimes I do things like thought records with clients or thought tracking with clients to help them understand it's time for you to take the thought captive. You don't have to stay here in this space. You can literally redo and reset. These are instructions. It's right here. This is so good. This is so good. I'm going to be on this for the rest of the year. I'm on this particular topic for the rest of the year. And it's because purpose has always been the goal. Joy has always been the goal. And the thing that has disconnected my people from getting there is the fact that you won't allow yourself or give yourself permission to rewrite your brain. That's what's standing between your purpose. That's what's standing between your joy. The only person that can get you to that point is you. God then gave you the blueprint. There's all these other resources out here like mental health therapists, your pastor, the combination of the thing. It's not just one thing. It's all these pieces put together that get us to where we want to be. If we could really understand this, if I can get this, my life will never be the same. Period. Paul, he went from Saul the persecutor to Paul the apostle. He completely changed his identity. His entire belief system, thought processes, everything was completely rewired. Completely. His brain started building brand new neural pathways, and then literally as he continued to repeat and lean into God more and lean into his word more and lean into what was being called upon him more, he became a brand new person. New pathways became his default instead. He went from the guy who denied Jesus to being one of the most prominent preachers during the time, and was the one who faced down all of the religious authorities. You ask, he spent time with Jesus. He spent intentional time understanding him, reframing his heart, reframing his mind, transitioning the way he showed up, literally changing his neural pathways. His brain rewired itself from fear-based thinking to faith-based thinking. God was calling him a mighty warrior while he was in a wine press hiding, trying to separate wheat. Through repeated exposures to God's word and what he was calling him, he ended up being one of the most powerful warriors in the Bible. Those repeated exposures to God's truth about who he was and the obedience that followed after that transitioned him to being a mighty, mighty warrior of God. Rewired from I'm the weakest to I'm who God says I am. He said, I'm not eloquent, send someone else, but God didn't send anyone else. He sent him. And through continuous coaching and the experience of what it feels like to just walk in what God calls you and believe that for yourself and continue to rewire yourself with your actions and just taking it step by step, he led an entire people out of bondage and into freedom. Through exposure and small wins, Moses went from self-doubt and fear to believing what God called him and walking into a powerful, powerful leader. He put down the self-doubt and picked up what God called. His brain rewired itself from self-doubt to being a confident leader, confident leadership. And that's what it means to rewire your brain. One of my favorites is a woman with the issue of blood. Before this woman ever touched the hem of Jesus' garment, she already knew. I don't know what's going to happen, but my faith is strong enough that it can push past what I'm presently experiencing. Her brain was able to, and had already been in the place where it rewired herself enough to know that if I could touch the hem of his garment, I will be healed. Before she touched it, before she could see it, she knew it because her brain had developed those pathways from her rehearsing that understanding, rehearsing that truth, building her faith to go past self-doubt, past even what she saw, and lean fully into the healing and the miracle that was her being healed from her ailment. If I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. She used her words to go from sickness to healing. That's what the power of rewiring can do. It's beautiful. Science backs up everything that the Bible has been telling us, from repetition to affirmations, and let me show you how. The more you repeat a behavior or repeat anything, the stronger that pathway becomes. That's why God talks about meditating on his word day and night. To the imagination, your brain can't tell the difference between what it's visualizing in its mind and what's actually happening. So when it comes down to you being able to envision your purpose, like you living in that purpose is what brings you closer to that reality. It comes down to affirmations. Speaking truth over yourself is not just you speaking positively. Every time you say I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, you're literally rewiring your brain. Not just you being positive, no reason. It's neuroplasticity at its finest. It comes down to change behavior. The concept is still the same. Every time you decide to choose a different action, say a different thing, show up a different way, it's teaching your brain that this is what our new way of thinking needs to be, our new action, our new response. And before you know it, you can literally transform the way you show up in any situation you're in, from your finances to your business, to your relationships, to your friendships. Behavior change is one of the most powerful ways to get to where you want to be. It says in the Bible that faith without works is dead. The action part, that's what helps the rewiring take place. We can have faith for anything, but that behavior change, that action part, that's what that's all about. So the environment, this might be one of the most important ones. It says in the Bible how just how iron sharpens iron, so does one man unto another. If you want to change the way you think, you have to change your environment. You surround yourself, the content you consume, the spaces that you find yourself in, they all contribute to the pathways that exist in your mind right now. All this to say this, listen to me carefully. You're not stuck. Your brain is not fixed. It was literally made to rewire itself. And if you give yourself permission to, if you partner with God and you're intentional about partnering with God in this process, you could change your entire life. If you can be a little bit more intentional with the following things, I want you to do. If you're ready to stop talking and start doing, I have some resources for you. I have a bounce back reset journal that has really practical tools to help you reset your thinking and reset the way you show up with love and grace and not, irritating frustrations or anything like that. Being really kind with yourself in that process. You can also visit our page for other resources. Reach out to me if you need to schedule a session or whatever the process might look like for you. But there's things out here to get you to where you want to go, and we're just getting started. Please tune in for the rest of this series. I'm really, really excited about this work, and I feel like this is the point. I think this is what this was all for. I talk about purpose. I talk about joy all the time. But this is the thing, this is the prerequisite that keeps us from getting there. So tap in, right? If Paul can go from Saul to Paul, if he can go from persecuting Christians to showing up and changing the way we even view Christianity, if we can have Gideon as somebody that goes from like someone who thinks they're weak to being like one of God's mightiest warriors, or go from sickness really to healing, anything is possible when we give ourselves permission to partner with God and tap into what he already created our brain to do, which was rewire itself and show up differently. So you got this. There's nothing you can't do. There's nothing you can't tap into. There's no version of you that you can't become if you give yourself permission to. So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you on the next episode. Let's reset and rewire together. Peace.